So this is what your corn looks like, evidently, after raccoons come. We think it's raccoons. It's either raccoons or bears, but we're gonna go with raccoons most likely. They ripped off every single ear and ate it right as it was about to be ready. So we were hoping to get corn to feed our chickens, and if there was any sweet corn for us to eat, but they left us with nothing. Well, there's one right here that's not formed yet, so maybe we can feed that to the chickens. But yeah, pretty much everything that was of any substance here, as you can see, has been ripped apart and eaten. I'm guessing raccoons. We have a farm share around here, and the farm share also had the same thing happen to theirs. They sent an email saying that all their corn was destroyed by raccoons. So yeah, you can see there's nothing left in that ear at all. They ate it clear out. That's what's left. Just the cob. So that's a bummer, but it does happen. You know, we are out here. There's a little bit of corn left on the ground. But you know, we're out here in the woods, and when you're in the woods, this kind of thing can happen. We have been harvesting lots and lots and lots of green beans still. Tonight we might get a frost, so we're out here trying to grab the last of them, what we can get. There's still a lot in here. I don't know if you can see that, but we have lots of purple beans in here. We'll be picking these. Same with some of these dragon tongue right here. And you know, there's some wax beans in here still as well. So yeah, we'll be picking those, and then we've got to harvest all of the potatoes. Just wanted to show you the aftermath of these stupid raccoons. They are a problem. Maybe once we get living on the land here, we will be able to keep them away with the dogs. But for right now, yeah, they got the best of our corn, that's for sure. Okay, we'll pick this back up later and show you what the potato harvest looks like. So as we discussed yesterday, we had some raccoons or a bear or something, probably raccoons, get in here and eat up all of our corn. We were able to scavenge a couple little pieces off the ground and feed those to the chickens, and the chickens were happy with it. But kind of a bummer because all the corn ended up looking like that. We have been, however, harvesting lots and lots and lots of beans. We have got more beans than we definitely could eat in a winter out of this, which is pretty great, being that we didn't know what we were going to get. And you know, just a little bit, an inch or so of compost on the ground with some straw over top of it has really worked well for the beans. And you can see they still look pretty healthy. We had pretty close to a frost last night. The temperature was in the 30s. So I fully expect that these beans will not last another couple weeks. We'll probably get a frost in the coming days. And what we're going to do today is we're going to harvest potatoes. So a couple weeks ago, we did come through and we pulled up this little batch here in the video, and those were purple potatoes. We got a few handfuls of them, not a ton, but some. We pulled those out. Today we're going to go through, we'll pick up a couple of these small ones that are here. I don't think there's going to be much there. This is where the grocery store potatoes were. They did not grow well at all. But we do have a fairly significant number of potato plants there and there. And then of course we have all of these here. So yeah, so we're going to dig these up. Try to harvest as many potatoes as we can before the frost comes. We're supposed to get into the 30s again tonight, and tonight is actually supposed to be a little colder than it was last night. So we're very likely going to get a frost. Hopefully it's not a bad one, and some of the squash can make it through. We have several Hubbard Squash, so we've got one there, and there's one there, a small one, and then there's a larger one in there. I don't know if you can make it out, but it's right there. We've got several of those in here that will, you know, be okay through a light frost. It's not supposed to get down in like the 20s or anything, so hopefully we don't actually get a frost tonight, and these guys can make it through another week or two, because like this one's probably ready, and that one's getting close, and then the larger one in the middle there is ready, but that one's definitely not. We already harvested our delicata squash because they have not been holding up, and then we have some of these small butternut type squash, but they have not been taking at all. So I don't think we're going to get anything out of those. And then finally, what we do have though is we've already harvested one pumpkin, And we have one more that's growing pretty well right there. So I would like to try, you know, hopefully if we can get a few more days or, you know, a week or two of frost-free weather, we could probably harvest that pumpkin. We also have a little one there. I don't think that one will make it, but if it doesn't, that's okay. We can cut it up and feed it to the chickens. So yeah, that's gonna be the update for now. We'll go ahead and start digging up these potatoes and then show you what we get. All right, so what we can do here is you can see there was a potato plant here that has kind of died back. So you dig back and you'll see there's potatoes in the ground. You can kind of just pull it up, shake it off, and we'll take a look. So here's one. That one looks pretty good. And these little ones, while they are small, so this one unfortunately was eaten by something. You can see that we've got slug pressure in here for sure. The little ones are totally edible, except for the slug ones. Throw that one away. But any of these little ones, you can definitely roast these up and they taste delicious, just like you know, any other potato. So we'll be harvesting all these. Each plant should give you a few potatoes. And then what we're planning on doing is we're going to be planting garlic here in the next day or so. So we're pulling up the potatoes. We'll throw the plants to the side. We'll leave a open space here, kind of pull the hay or the straw back and make a little furrow. And then we'll come in here and we'll plant garlic along this row and then cover it back up with fresh hay. Then the garlic will pop up in the spring and grow for us and we can harvest it next summer. It's an easy way to make use of this potato area because, you know, we don't have anything else to put in here right now. And that way we don't have to then redo this bed in the spring. One thing to notice too is that you can see if you're zooming into the dirt here, you can see the clay soil is still down there, you know, but we definitely have more compost than what we started with. You can see that this straw is definitely starting to rot away and it's all turning, you know, to basically to compost for us. So that's really good. That's what we were hoping for. And that has started to work. And the bed is very healthy. I've got lots of worms. We have some centipedes in here. I've seen spiders and crickets. It's definitely, you know, coming together nicely. So I don't think we're going to till this at all. We're just going to take the potatoes out, pull the straw back, and then, you know, get it ready to plant some garlic. And then next spring, hopefully, the garlic will pop up as we expect. And next summer, we'll have garlic. Yeah, and that's it. Here's another potato. See, they come out pretty well. Looking great. And they're kind of just sitting on the top because we did this Ruth Stout method where the potatoes kind of just, we planted them in. And like, here's the original seed potato. And, you know, they grow right underneath the straw. So they're not super deep down. You don't have to dig a lot. It's pretty nice. All right, we're going to pull this up and see how many potatoes we have in here. This one's looking pretty good. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you can see, these are russet potatoes. So these are like your Idaho russets. They didn't grow as big as I would, you know, normally expect them to get. I would expect that most of them would be at least this big. But that's okay. You know, they're still probably going to be good to eat. They're just not as big as maybe they could have been. Could be that this row right here got a little less light than the rest of the garden. So this was definitely an area where we need to cut up some of the trees. If we cut up some of those trees, we would get a lot more light in this area. And we plan on doing that at some point. We just haven't gotten around to it. So for the first year though, it made good use of this location and helped us get the soil fertile, which is really what we want, right? We want to start building up this soil. So all right, let's show you one more here. See if this one's got any big potatoes in it. You can see they kind of just pile up under there. Here's 1, 2, there's a nice little one, 3, 4. And most of these plants have about 5 or 6 potatoes total each, which isn't too bad. Like I said, none of these are going to win any prizes for the largest potatoes in the world, but that's okay. That's not what we're going for. And as you can see, the furrow here, we've got this all spread out so that when we come through tomorrow with the garlic sets, we can get them all planted and then get them covered up. We'll use this old straw to cover them up to start with, and then we'll bring in some fresh straw and mound it over top to kind of give it a little extra protection for the winter. Okay, so this is the last of the russets in this row here. See if this one got any more, because we have had, this area gets more sun. So you can see this is the seed potato. It's really gross, right? It's all slimy and rotten. That's what you expect though. So this is the first potato that we planted in the ground, and that, let me wipe my hands off here, created all of these, right? So we end up with all of these other potatoes that are looking really well. I mean, look at this. We've got a whole bunch in here. This plant has really produced, you know. There's 5 right there, 6, 7. It's funny, some of these are stuck together. I don't know if you can see that, but they fused. That's okay though. Definitely still edible. So yeah, all of these. Well, this one here looks like it had something chomping on the end of it. So because we're not overly concerned about that, we're just going to leave these and throw them in the woods. So throw them in the woods and some animal will eat them. It's fine. As long as it's not the raccoons. I'm not trying to give them anything. They're jerks. But outside of that, yeah, these are doing pretty well. We did have some of these grocery store potatoes up here that I'll get to in a little bit, but basically from this point on, nothing grew. Those grocery store potatoes were an absolute failure. We'll start at the other end again, picking up some more of the non-russet. So as you can see, we're getting into some of the Adirondack Reds, and no surprise being that we can literally see the Adirondack Mountains from a few miles from our house across Lake Champlain. But these are doing very, very well. These are much, much larger. We also have some of these purple ones, and the purple ones seem to have grown pretty well as well.
Like, I would say it looks just covered in dirt.
Yeah, I
looks
think
like black.
These are definitely purple though. I don't know if you can make that out right there, but I can show you some later. They definitely are. But we're getting a really good harvest so far. Let's pull up one of these Adirondack Reds for you. And you can see the red color sticking right out of the dirt, right? They are very clear that they're in there. But we'll pull this guy up and see what we get. So yeah, you can see that we're getting fairly good sized potatoes off of here. You can see the original seed potatoes there. But these are here. And there's usually more in the dirt as we pull them up. You can see there's a lot of small ones. But yeah, these Adirondack Reds definitely did well here. Another thing that I'm noticing is we didn't take the tape off of the cardboard when we put these in, you know, the cardboard down below this. And I guess I probably should have. Didn't occur to me at the time. But we definitely have a lot of tape inside of the dirt here, which I don't think is a big deal, right? It's not like I'm worried about it breaking down and poisoning us or anything, but it probably would have been a little nicer and easier on us if we had cleaned that up, you know, before we put the stuff down. I think this is the end of the Adirondack Reds, and we're gonna get into some fingerling potatoes. These are French fingerlings, but you can see those look pretty nice as well. So we'll pull up one of these and see what we get. Looks like there's actually a lot of potatoes in there. You can see there's the original potato. And yeah, these produced a lot. Now these are supposed to be smaller because these are fingerling potatoes, you know, little roasting potatoes. But that's one plant and there's a lot of potatoes on there. I mean, a lot. Look at that, there's still more under there. So I don't know, maybe at least 10 potatoes from that one plant. Pretty good. So yeah, those actually did well. I got those from High Mowing, I think. I can look it up later.
You did. You did.
Yeah, if you look on my original video of when we planted this, I talked about the types that we planted, and I believe those were like a French fingerling or something like that. And they seem to be doing well as well. So we're gonna continue on. Our basket is already filling up and getting pretty heavy, and we're only, I don't know, about half of the way done. So we've got a little bit to go still. So you can see that sometimes the original potato is still there. And it's kind of gross. It gets all slimy and disgusting.
That is icky.
As you can tell, the wife is not a fan of the original.
I'm glad you just can't smell
Look at that. That is nice. That doesn't smell bad. I don't smell anything.
I'm glad you can't.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the people on the camera. On the video.
No. I'm saying I am glad because rotten potatoes stink.
They do. But so you can see these are really, really producing well. These fingerlings are definitely producing well.
Much better than the store-bought potatoes.
See, we also have a problem with snails and slugs.
But was that a shell? That was
that
just
was
a shell. You got some over there. Yeah. What about those small, teeny, tiny ones?
Yeah, these tiny ones can definitely go into a roast.
Those right back there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see these. Yep, grab those. And here's some more. So, of course, any of that rotten stuff that's in there, we can just leave that in the ground. It'll be fine. It'll just rot into the ground and add nutrients, right? So let's do one more here. So you can see how wet this straw gets too, right? It has rained a lot in the last couple days, or in the last week.
A lot.
But yeah, it stays very, very wet. So let's get back down here. Oh, I can already see.
Ooh,
I don't know if
it's
you
like
can see those.
it's like Christmas.
Yeah, this is definitely like a scavenger hunt, you know. And you can just kind of pull them out and keep going. So we've got,
I would like to have compliments to my own basket over there.
yes, your basket is very helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is a good time to do some weeding. As you can see, once again, tape that I forgot to remove from the boxes. I really should have done that. Lesson learned. Next time we put tape down.
And boxes down.
Or sorry, yeah, put boxes down, take the tapes off.
You got one right there.
Where, in my hand?
No.
Oh, right
There you go.
Yep, thanks. So yeah, we got more here. I can see them, so let's clear this
hold on.
guy off.
Hold on. Let me move down. Oh, look at this.
Yes.
Corn.
Stupid raccoons. Look, they even ate the little baby corn out of it.
I didn't realize raccoons are such corn lovers.
Okay, so here's another potato plant. Let's clear this up for you so you can see as we open it up. We'll pull it up here.
Doesn't look like there's anything on that one. Ooh.
There it is. Let's see, the original plant is there. This potato, unfortunately, I don't know if you can see that, has got a slug or something got into it. So that one will get thrown into the woods. Yeah, there's the original seed potato. Got a couple off of that. Yeah, and we're just gonna keep on going along here and dig these up as we go. Okay, so we finished harvesting the potatoes that we had here. We also have some already at the house. As I mentioned earlier, we picked some of the purple ones about a month ago. But yeah, so in this basket, we've got at least 30 pounds, at least, maybe a little more. And then we started this 6-gallon bucket with a little bit more. You can see some of those red ones got really, really big. These guys definitely grew well. I would think next year, the Adirondack ones did really well. And these French fingerlings did extremely well. So I would think that for our area, those seem to be the ones to go with. The russets did not do as well. Most of them are fairly small for russets. They're gonna be fine. We'll be able to eat them, but they're just not, you know, large sized. So we've now prepared this bed for our garlic next year. So what I did is I came through, you know, we dug up where the potatoes were, cleaned them, took all of the potato plants out. You can see I missed one right there. Got all the potato plants out. So that'll all be cleaned out. We don't want to leave potato plants because potatoes, like tomatoes, can harbor disease for next year. So, you know, your blights and other stuff that can bother your tomatoes can also bother your potatoes, of course. You know, the Irish famine was potato blight. So we're clearing that out, make sure that we don't have that. And then tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to come back and probably in the first row, we're going to plant all of our garlic. So we hope to get pretty much a full row of garlic in. I have a bunch of sets to put in that we can do. We'll get that done. And then, like I said earlier, we'll pile that over and we'll cover it with straw. Here, I'm going to leave these open for right now just to kind of dry out a little bit. And then we'll cover them back over, put some fresh straw down and just let that sit for the winter. Next year, we'll reuse these, of course. We still have the fabric underneath these. Of course, I do need to clean it up, right? I'll come in here and rake these off when we're done, clean these rows up. But yeah, we'll go ahead and clean those up, and then next winter we'll plant something different here, or next summer we'll plant something different here. So we had the beans there this year. I might move beans over to this row next year, or put something different, maybe some brassicas or something, right? You don't want to grow the same crop in the same place twice, so we won't grow potatoes here in these rows next year. My guess is that potatoes will be done over here next year. We're going to be pushing this garden out. This winter, we hope to dig through a bunch of that wood pile and cut it up and then move the garden out into that area. So as we expand the garden outward, we will continue to add rows, and that's where stuff that has planted here can be planted again. Our squash, you know, we're going to let them keep going until then the first frost comes. These are all winter squashes. We've harvested all of the delicata already. They were down here. We also harvested a pumpkin, which was great because the pumpkin was in the corn patch and would have probably gotten tore up by whatever ate the corn. So yeah, it's good that we got the pumpkin out when we did. As I said earlier, we've been harvesting beans like crazy pretty much all year. And we'll keep doing that until the first frost comes and knocks these guys back because they are still producing surprisingly. These squashes can get through a light frost without damaging the fruit, so we'll let these go until we can't anymore. Once they're done, we'll harvest the squash. We'll cut back the vines. Probably give the vines, some of them, to the chickens. From my understanding, even people can eat these. Squash vines and leaves are edible, from my understanding. I've never eaten them. So I don't recommend it because I don't know what it tastes like. But if somebody does and they like them, feel free to put a note in the comments below and tell us. But yeah, we'll clear this out, and then of course we'll mow it, clean it all up. And then, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we're going to start moving the fences out, because the goal is at some point to get the garden to go way back into there. So we've got to clear these trees out, clear that land, and get it ready. You'll notice that down here we don't have anything. That's because in the springtime it kind of floods down in this bottom corner here. I don't know if you can make it out, but the land kind of slopes down. So we won't be putting anything down there, at least nothing that can not handle being wet. So the corn line there is pretty much as far back as we'd want to go. In the spring, it was pretty wet. We're pretty happy with what we got. We could definitely get more out of this space, but for the first year with very little input, just a teeny little bit of compost and some straw, they did pretty well. I'm surprised. I thought we would have a lot more squash damage than we did. And, we got a good harvest out of that. We'll eat those potatoes for a while. Thanks again for watching. I'll give an update for the at-home garden at some point before the fall closes. But for right now, that's going to be it. Have a good one.